Let's imagine that you have to create one instance to use in the object in order to execute some logic. For example, we could have user service, that with user service, we will have a method called public void create user. So then it means that every time that we would like to use user service, we should create a new instance of user service. It doesn't really matter in which part of your class are. Let's say that we are in the main, so we have user service, that we create user service equal to new user service. Here we can just use our instance to call create user method. The problem is if we have another class, let's say for example user controller. So if we have user controller and we have an attribute that is user service, we can initialize this instance by our constructor, by public user controller, and then we could just say like this, that user service equal a new user service. The problem, as you can see here, is that in our main and in our user controller, we are creating two instances of user service. In this example, it's kind of easy, but if we have some dependencies also in user service, for example, we would like to have a user repository, and then so we have to use user repository as a dependency in our user service. Then in our constructor, we have user service, and then we will accept user repository as a dependency, and then we initialize user repository with user repository. As you can see now in the main method and the user controller, when we are creating a new object of user service, we should implement or we should send a new user repository in each of them, main and user controller. This could be fixed by using the design pattern singleton. With singleton, we are defining just one instance in our project for user service, for example, and then we can manage this instance around the project without creating the instance over and over again. In order to do that, we can just create a new attribute in our class. In order to create the singleton pattern, we could create in user service our attribute called private static user service and then user service. After that, we can just create a public static user service, get instance as the name of the method, and then we can check if the instance that we created as an attribute is null, and if it's null, we can just create an instance equal a new user service that's creating a new user repository, and then we could return the instance. So now we can just replace in this code, in this line, instead of using new user service, we can user service dot get instance. And in the same way, we can do in the user controller and replacing the code new user as user service equal to user service get instance. In this way, we have a lazy way to initialize our instance, and then when it's initialized, we have just one instance in our time project, so it's not consuming more memory that we needed, and also we could prohibit to create an instance of user service by constructor, just saying private user service, and the same way with private in our constructor that is having user repository as a parameter. So now it wouldn't be possible to create a new instance of user service since of constructor is private. So the only way now to access our user service is by the method getInstance. One thing more to add to the method getInstance is adding the keyword synchronize. This way we are making sure that getInstance is thread safe. So every time that a thread is calling getInstance, we are sure that just one thread is accessing our method. As you can see, the design pattern singleton is pretty easy to use in Java, and it gives us some advantage to just creating one instance in our entire project instead of using multiple and creating multiple instances in around our project. I hope that you really liked the video and it was clear enough to understand the design pattern singleton. If you have any question or you would like to add something, remember that we have the comment section that you can ask whatever you want, and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. So I hope that you really like the video, and I see you in the next one. Bye! you.